Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing this morning? Welcome back to our morning coffee time for Wednesday, July the 8th, if I've got it right. How's everything looking this morning? I can't hear myself for some reason, so let me make an adjustment. Mhm. So let's see, 58 people today. I don't have much in the way of news to begin things. Here we are in the middle of the week. So I know there's a Ajahn V talk coming up this Friday. So, and we're in between the second and third of Ajahn Sona's talks on the jhana. So I was thinking of reaching out to him to see if we have the capabilities to bring him in to answer some questions for himself some morning. And then if the connection doesn't work at Birkin, I'll be the fallback. So maybe Dantika, who's here this morning, can see if she can convince Ajahn of the soundness of such an idea. I'm sure people would like this. It'd actually be nice to bring a lot of my venerable friends and teachers into the morning coffee time from time to time, just to add a bit of variety. I think the trick is the time zones. We all live so far apart. I'd say the most interesting part of my morning was just brief recollection, connecting with the title of Ajahn Sona's last talk, Samadhi is Relief, which is awfully close to the word release, which is a quality I like to bring to mind when I sit down to meditate. Think of the importance of releasing myself from external concerns, sights, sounds, everything that's outside of this kind of present moment experience, especially the abstraction of it and the abstractions of past and future. I'm not shutting them out. I'm just releasing them. So as such thoughts and concerns bubble up in the mind, just releasing them and engendering a sense of release and savoring and delighting in the feeling of relief that accompanies not being a slave to such conscious experiences. The bubbling of consciousness. There's a wonderful Pali word, papancha, which means proliferation. This is the bubbling of the mind. Proliferative thought, but it kind of goes beyond thought, because we sometimes are a little bit too easy to identify thought with the kind of the verbal-esque discourse of our minds and of conscious experience. But if your mind is anything like mine in its ordinary state, the default is a kind of bubbling of consciousness, of thoughts and impressions and memories, inklings, feelings. And we're too often a slave to that, and it wearies the mind. It's this wonderful. There's this wonderful thing the Buddha sort of says in the contemplation on two types of thought, where he's framing the experience, the contents of his thought, as connected with the good or connected with unskillfulness. And then he says, but with thought, the mind becomes weary. Or my mind would become weary because it's still kind of engaged in a certain type of mental activity that is burdensome on the mind or creates a certain stress on the mind quite naturally. So, and his remedy then is to turn to this quality of samadhi, to experience some relief and to refresh and re-energize and strengthen the mind. So relief and release. Relief and release. Habits of selfing. Our attachments and investment in papancha, sense impressions. And a delight in letting go, a delight in release. And even each and every breath can be a kind of release into the simplicity of such a life-giving, refreshing, core experience of body and mind. So rather than thinking of having to grab onto the breath and hang on, or to get your samadhi together, we can kind of think of our meditation in a way that's a bit kind of forceful, trying to sort of hold out and defend against distraction of thought, and we're trying to grab on and hold on to the breath in a way that is connected and constant, undistracted. And I find that only takes you so far, because it kind of stimulates this kind of a desire to be in control, which is so related to my experience of the expression of the self. So instead you just turn that around. The breath is here. It's not going anywhere. You don't have to go out and grab it. Just release. relax, release, and delight in the relief of being present for the experience. And release the hindrances. You don't have to kill the hindrances, just release them. There's some relationship, some attachment that's keeping you bound to sense desire, bound to frustration, anger, ill will, bound to dullness, restlessness, doubt. Release that. And delight in the sense of relief that accompanies that. So a couple thoughts. Kind of beginning our coffee time. I see our good friend Venerable Kobilo is here. His icon's a bit headless. Good morning, Venerable Kobilo. I'm encouraging everybody to bring me beautiful icons. And that's a beautiful robe, but faces are nicer. Let's see. I also see Tim. Tim, your icon, you could use an upgrade as well. So Tim is a friend of ours from Baigiri. Lives down near Baigiri. So okay, well, we got 90 people here, so I think everybody who wants to be here is here. And I saw a few things addressed to me highlighted earlier in the chat stream here, so I'm going to roll back to those. Starting off with Phil. Good morning, Phil. Let's see. I listened to the second jhana talk again and connected with a feeling of samadhi with when I surf in the ocean and catch a wave where I'm joyously absorbed. In feeling at one with the pure energy of the wave, it's not right samadhi though, because it's missing the path. Yeah, that's correct. It's not right samadhi because it's missing the path, but it's certainly the taste of it, isn't it? And, in Ajahns talk, he's trying to give people a sense that this isn't such a foreign experience, and many people have a taste of this. So, and much of what we do, the things that we love, bring us to that experience, or at least near that experience of being absorbed in a good way. So, as good as those experiences can be, though, they're rarely as powerful and as refined as what we can potentially develop in our samadhi practice. Like the level of clarity and connectedness and mindfulness and energetic joy. And because it's not so bound with movement and all the things like that, say, surfing a wave require, like you're just sitting still. All the skill is in the heart and in the mind and in the quality of attention that one's bringing. There's an enhanced ability for that state to be even more powerful and absorbing and full and delightful and energetic and bright. So, but it's good to make those connections, Phil. And remembering those experiences already starts to incline the mind or change the mind, kind of arouse a certain kind of energy and faith and interest that's necessary. Good morning, Eleanor. What is the purpose of life? What to do when you don't know what to do with your life? Well, that's a big question. I think there's even several ways that one could answer that, trying to imagine what the Buddha might say, or something that's at least consistent with what the Buddha might say. What's the purpose of life? So I think there's something faulty about the question, as if life has mm, a single purpose or predefined, ordained purpose. And I don't really know that the Buddha would affirm that assumption that the question is kind of based on. I'd say the tenor of what you find in his teaching in the Pali Canon is much more, starts off more from a place of here we are. And it doesn't even ask or encourage asking how we got here or why we got here. It's pretty focused on we're here, what's going on, what's the opportunity, how should one skillfully relate to this human life and the experience of being alive. And the short answer is to develop the teachings, to live a good and virtuous life, and devote oneself to good deeds. And if one lives in that way, one will be doing purposeful things. One's life will have a rich feeling of purpose and meaning, I believe. So, and it's hard to know at the outset what kind of opportunities lay ahead of one. Depending on our karma and whatever skillfulness and talents and strengths that we can develop. So answering the second part of your question, what to do when you don't know what to do with your life, I would say get focused on cultivating the good. So start off with seeking good friends and avoiding fools. Avoid people that are confused about what to do with their life, and are wasting their time, are not devoted to the good, and cultivate relationships with people that are looking to live a purposeful life, devoted to the good, um, and develop in generosity, in selfless giving, in service, in blameless action. Uh, don't do anything that you'll later regret. Speak and act in ways that are support the experience of care for self and others, and a feeling of remorselessness, like freedom from remorse. And then study and connect with the teachings, um, and contemplate how they speak to the challenge and the experience of this life. So that's a spontaneous attempt, Eleanor, to answer a very big question, but a few ideas for this morning. And I see Eleanor kind of followed up on your question. I should maybe cultivate the habit of trying to keep up with you guys. You guys are having conversations, and I sort of don't get to them until you've moved on. So, but I'll pop this up here anyway. So for the sake of people watching later, they get to see these. I heard a lay teacher say to forget the purpose and make meaning in each and every moment with skillful effort. Would you comment, Ajahn? I think I already did, and I think my answer approaches something like that. So, good morning, Marilyn. Can you give any help with proliferating thoughts? I've got lots of them this morning. Yeah. Well, one of the supreme recommendations for dealing with proliferative thought is breath meditation itself. It's compared to, say, other forms of meditation. The Buddha says it has a particular ability to sort of quell the proliferative nature of thought and the mind. So, in addition to all the other virtues that breath meditation has, it's a great antidote to proliferative thought. So, so maybe add a little extra breath meditation to your morning, and depending on how your day is, see if you can return to that again and again. So that works very good, and really getting into the feeling of the breath and the air element, experiencing and sensing that very lovingly, very carefully. So that would be my top recommendation, Marilyn, is breath meditation. So if you want something a bit more, a bit different, I sometimes find it's good just to practice this teaching that Ajahn Sumedho talks about so much, just like listening to the mind. Like you just open up into awareness with a determination not to sort of follow the thoughts or engage in them, but you move away from trying to push them away, or any frustration or agitation that comes from the fact that your mind seems to be bubbling and proliferating. And so stop fighting them. Just open up the mind and let them be. Release them. Let them kind of bubble and pop and fizz and dissipate on their own, but stay centered and still in the present moment. And I find actually listening, like think of it as listening to them, but it's like listening to the sound, a sound environment. Like you're in a cafe and there's all these conversations and you're not trying to focus on any particular sound or a particular conversation. You're just taking in the ambiance. You're perfectly present, attentive, open, accepting, but not engaging. And I find that really helps sometimes. And I've mentioned this on our coffee gatherings before. Sometimes when I sit down and my mind's particularly bubbling from having to do a lot of mental work or having engaged with people a lot for several hours, and the mind's just kind of bubbling with sense impressions and thought. Sometimes rather than just going straight to the breath, I'll just do that for a little bit until it feels like the vibrations start calming down. So, third recommendation is go to walking meditation. And really attend each and every step. And you might even add Butto or right, left, to engage the mind to begin with, so that you're not leaving the mind totally wide open to be walking and proliferating at the same time. But again, I find really directing one's mindfulness to connecting with the feeling of the body, the motion, the movement, and then, being physical. Because there can be a relationship to the body needing exercise, or restlessness kind of being almost like tied up or bound up in the body. So sometimes mindfulness and movement can really help with proliferation. So, and walking meditation can be good. Or if you don't want to walk, just go exercise. Sometimes that can be good too. So let's see. You're most welcome, Eleanor. No need to apologize. I like big questions. So, and I should be challenged. So if they're too difficult to answer, that's good too. So, and maybe lastly, let's see, jhana. What is guidance on relating to loved ones and others who have been estranged from you? From my hurt and anger arises. From my hurt, anger arises, and I don't want to dwell in anger. Well, jhana, focus in on that determination to be free from anger. And don't focus on the fault or the flaw in the relationship or past harm that was done. That's the nutriment to the habit of feeling hurt and angry. So, and if you want to be free of it, you need to quit feeding that. They hurt me, they abused me. Such thoughts only feed the tendency to feel hurt and angry. So So, just come to peace with it. Whether or not you're still in relationship with these people, or whether or not there's an appropriate opening to bring some sort of resolution, resolve it in yourself through offering forgiveness and releasing yourself from the past, uh, and make a determination uh, not to not to feed the stories and the narratives, and like there's a particular feature sometimes in what's happened that really gets us and goes a long ways towards kind of nurturing our attachment to having been wronged. Something they said, something they did, some particular way that they let us down. So you need to be determined to let that go, and heedful not to bring that to mind, or if it comes to mind, to drop it and be done with it. Don't give it any more attention. And then, as much as possible, offer forgiveness. The past can't be changed, so you might as well make peace with it and be determined to forgive yourself and others and let go of it so you can move on with life and stay focused on uh, cultivating the good. So, most often, if there's people that we're still in relationship, at some point we're going to forgive them, or we're going to forget or forgive so that we can move on. So you might as well do it sooner rather than later. So, okay, well, we are at 9:30, so I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks for joining us this morning, everyone. And special thanks to Ajahn for joining us. It's good to see another monk in here. So he's even given us a reference here, although I can't seem to talk and follow the chat as closely as I would like to. So have a good day, everyone. And just returning to where we began, recollect and make a determination to revisit this notion that samadhi is relief. And get yourself some relief today, as much as you can buy, as much as you can afford. Release and relief. So, okay. See you all tomorrow on the morning coffee. Be well, friends.